All right, what I'm talking about here is how VMware handles networking. Okay, so I got a machine here. I'm not going to start the machine. You actually have to do this machine off, by the way. I'm going to go into settings, and under networking, I have multiple options. First of all, at the top, I have connected power on. Obviously, if that's unchecked, you have no network. That's great. Maybe you want to play with a virus. You want to play with something else. You can copy the file in and disconnect your network because you don't want to propagate that stuff through the network. Okay. The important stuff is down here. Bridged. What bridged is, it means it's live on the network. It's like your machine has its own private network connection plugged right in. It'll connect for DHCP. It shares everything. Broadcast, everything is on the network. So in the lab the other night, I guess it was last Tuesday, there was all kinds of people using it, and it found out many of you were set it bridged, which meant your IP address, remember, it was set to 250.250. So I had multiple machines with 250.250s. So I said, no big deal. I was working with Taylor, so we'll just change the IP. 250 to 251, or whatever we changed it to. Sounds like a plan. That is true. But the problem after that was the name of the machine was Win2KW3DC or something. Your server, those are domain controllers. So remember when we talked about NetBIOS and all that a couple of weeks ago, I showed some of the services they offer. Well, the server service, the workstation service, and the browser service, they basically handle that stuff. The computer browser tells everybody, so it's the server service, hey, I'm a domain controller, I'm on this, I'm on that, whatever. And it goes by name. It's a holdback from way back when we had strictly NetBIOS. So what was happening was on Taylor's machine in particular, even though we changed the IP, it would go out there and says, hey, I'm a W3KDC, blah, blah, blah. I'm a domain controller. And if you worked with domain controllers back in NT4 days, that wasn't a problem. It was, but they didn't have a fix for it. Then around 2008, they came up with a fix. So what they would do was, if you have a domain controller or a DHCP server or something running with a name, in this case, whatever, when another one comes online, it basically kicks it off. So I finally looked at Taylor's machine, and sure enough, the server service, the workstation service, and the browser service kept going offline. I would restart it, and then the moment I tried to access it with Kali, it basically was trying to access the browser service and says, no, it just keep cutting it off. So by having the same name on the network was an issue. Okay? And when we're set as bridged, the same name is live. It's just like it's plugged in. We had Brad come over a couple of semesters ago. He was freaking out because it was someone on Rose's network, literally on the wired network with some weird funky name. I don't know what it was, like potato chip or something. They're like, someone's got a web server running on my network and it's called whatever. It turns out it was one of the students in there using his laptop they just plugged in, and he brought up VMware, and it had a web server running on that, and he had to set it bridged. So according to Brad, it was a live web server on the network. He's like, who's got a web server going? So even though it was a VMware machine, in bridge mode, it's just like you plug straight in. You can't even tell the difference. So two options to fix that. Host only and NAT, okay? What NAT does is the connection coming into the machine, it's kind of like at Rose State. I think we showed you IP chicken before. We all go out using the same IP address. That's one fix. That will fix the problem. Okay? A better fix, though, is host only. Host only means this machine or whatever machine, any VMs running on that machine can see each other in it, but no one else can see them. So they work great. So if you're in Kali and this server, you can see each other beautifully, but no one else in the network can see it. So you all can have the same name, the same IP, the same everything. Because I was wondering, I did this up in 221 over the summer with 28 people with no problem. Yeah, because they were all set as host only. I didn't realize here somehow, and by the way, some of those machines in there, y'all need to start deleting stuff. There was so much junk on there. And y'all's naming convention, new folder 2, folder 3, right? 4, 5, 6, 8, whatever. It doesn't matter. You just name shit and you put stuff on the desktop. You put it here. You put it in the server.
You do that host only. That's what got me can't go out. So if you're doing
right,
like
right, you can't go out. But in that case, you could use NAT, and that would function as well. But for what we're doing, host only is easier. But right, you cannot go out because you literally can see each other and host, but that's it. You can't go in there. Right. Yeah. But if you're end mapping inside machine, like say you're using Kelly to end map that server, you'd have been fine. Right. But something else you can't. So it's kind of important. In that case, I would use NAT. Bridged is only needed if it's like an actual, like over at Roche State, PeopleSoft is all virtual. So those are all set up as bridged. They're like live on the network, yet they're virtual. Okay? You see the use for bridged? It's like it takes a virtual machine, makes it act exactly like a real machine. It's out there on the network, and everybody thinks it's a real machine. Everything else uses NAT or host. Okay? So I figured out it did work. And, you know, the version of Kali, I don't know what y'all did to it. I know it's been the same one I've been using for multiple semesters, so I finally just deleted it. I downloaded the version I'm providing, the 17.3. You know, there's a reason they update versions. It's to fix stuff. And I don't know what they fixed, but they fixed something. And the moment I did that, man, that sucker worked. I even sent y'all pictures of it. So
there was an issue with the older counties and stuff like that, where like when you went through PDF documents, like go hit like interact with and stuff like that, all these extra things. Well, in the newer version, you just type in shell, it did that same thing. So it's like you got a shell inside the machine.
Yeah. And it was funny because I was actually walking through that, and I think Roy came in, and I had remotely connected with Metasploit. I had exploited it, and I was in an interpreter shell. So I'm all done. Got the screenshots I need to send to you guys, and I'm going to leave. So literally inside of interpreter, I said, shutdown -H now. What do you think happened? Shut down the Windows machine. Because I was remotely into the Windows machine. Because remember, when you have an interpreter shell up and you've exploited, everything you're doing is inside that machine. So literally, I'm like, well, that was cute. So, I mean, it was fine to shut down anyway. I just had to type exit and then run the command again. But it was funny. You don't think about stuff like that. But since what that exploit did was it created a reverse shell. So we connected it with Metasploit, and it basically transferred the command shell or the command prompt from that machine to us. So you can do cd space whatever. You can make a file, delete a file, all that stuff, and you're going to need it for this next one. So when you connect in, once you've exploited, you have the reverse TCP set up. It's literally like you're at the command prompt. Yes.
On NAT, which is how my laptop was set up, it was not connecting. We had to go in and tell it to shut down and then bring it back up in Ethernet 0.
Okay. And some of you figure out how to change the IP address. You will have to on this next one as well. The reason when you change the IP address, you have to do, ifconfig. No, I'm sorry. IFETH0 up, then down, then up, then down. Reason is, it's down. You need to do down, up, down, up.
Just do up.
You got to do down because it's currently connected with the ACP. So you got to use down to disconnect it from the ACP.
Why don't you just use the wireless connector?
You can use it if you have one, but what if you don't have one? Like
no, it's in the wireless connecting inside Kali.
Oh, you can use the GUI for that as well.
Yeah,
you can.
Apply. That's all you have to do.
Okay, you can. Well, what the apply does is it downs it, it backs up, and you should be able to. Yes.
In your walkthrough video, you actually say you don't have to do the if down first. You do the if up because
if there wasn't one already there.
Okay.
Right. But in there, the other day, it was already connected via the ACP, so that's why we had to do that. Right. So yeah, good point though. Okay.
So what you did was you put it down, then you went to the actual folder where it was, just typed it in.
Edit it. Okay.
Yeah,
Put it back on.
I did to get it to work.
So, we all okay with how to do that and what the different settings mean? Because that's a big deal. So, it was late that night and I wasn't thinking it through. I literally went home and I'm like, are you serious? So I literally came in the very next morning and fixed it in no time at all. I'm like, I knew it what it was. It's one of those things. Yes.
As far as the keylogger and everything like that, did you ever find out that was supposed to?
I don't know why that didn't work, and I didn't try it again. So
I don't know if you remember I logged in like after that.
It should work. I didn't try. I'll take a look at that one.
It worked on mine.
Yeah.
It worked on mine. And even like the backspacing.
Yeah, it does.
I misspelled administrator like 3 times and I backspace.
Yeah. So I don't know why. I
I also
didn't
The
think
problem was in the cyber lab.
Well, no,
Yeah.
Catherine got it on the login.
Right.
After that, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too. They only got the login, but after it didn't.
But isn't it set up to only run in
Yeah, only
certain
when
increments, like time increments?
Possibly.
Because I
Actually, no, that could be. Next time, try just putting a whole bunch of text. Just hold down the key forever and see if it. That could be. It
Yeah,
could be that it has a buffer size, and the login, the actual enter of the login process dumps the buffer. I could see that happen. That's a good point. That might work. Somebody should try that. Now, so by doing this, even though I know Taylor had we all had problems with it. Do you understand what the commands were doing? Okay. The whole show options and show exploits, that's just so you can see what's available. But once you know which option you're going to use and you know the exploit, you know you don't need to type that. So basically what we did was we typed in use a specific exploit. Then we typed set payload, because different exploits have different payloads. So the use was to use the exploit. Set payload was, now that we have the exploit, what payload we're going to use. That was the reverse TCP part. Then we did set rhost, which is set the remote host IP address. And set lhost would be the set local host address. The next point, that's all there is to it. Now, if you did this with Armitage, you literally could just do it by clicking a button. Problem with that. I've been teaching Java since literally 1996. I have students use NetBeans and Eclipse. Some of you know what that is. That does a lot for you. Those of you ever use it, it does a lot for you. It literally creates your main method and all that stuff for you. Now, I will tell you, I have people go take their test, and they can't write the main method because they don't know what it is, because Eclipse does it for them. So by using Armitage, where you just right-click, you're missing the typing of it. You don't know what you're doing. You see what I mean? So that's why Armitage is awesome. I actually, a couple of years ago, I told students to use Armitage. Then I was in a training class, and this guy did an amazing job. And I said, so why don't you use Armitage? Because the problem is Armitage does too much for you. You don't understand what you're doing. I mean, even Hydra, by literally clicking the buttons. Okay, so when I said exit after first pair found, what switch is that? Does anyone know? It's a dash F. How about globally? It's a dash capital F. And dash T for threads. So by doing it at the command line, you would really know all those commands. But by using the GUI, we don't. I mean, you probably saw what the dash F did. Same with nmap. I mean, if you do intent scan, it puts all kinds of stuff in there.
What's cool about Hydra though is that once you get to the GUI, it'll actually show you what command.
Right, it's beautiful. It puts it right there at the bottom.
Yeah.
Nmap does the same thing. If you do an intent scan plus, it goes, holy crap, I have no idea what all that means. But it's there. Right. So by doing it, by typing it in, it's so much better because you don't, I mean, you're learning what it's doing. You're not just sitting there and, you know, like I say in the forensics class, you need to know how the tools work. You know, like when I took the guidance software class, the first thing they did was we had to do it manually. And then we could use the tool to do it for us. Because you can't go to court and say, I don't know, I just said go, and it did it. You got to understand it. And by, I don't know, I used this tool called Armitage. I clicked and said go. I mean, you'd have to be able to explain, you know, I used this specific exploit, which included this payload, then the remote, blah, 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 you have to explain. So that's why I'm just using Metasploit for now with no Armitage. Okay? Make sense? Okay. So now you know how these settings work. And because I think I did explain, like, didn't I explain this a little bit on the video? Yeah. A little bit, okay. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop this recording. Then I'm going to talk about the next one, next assignment. Okay, stop.